Hey y'all, how we doing? Shout out to Bear Nation for tuning in for another episode of the Bear Necessities of Entrepreneurship, a podcast for the entrepreneur-minded, created by entrepreneurs, discussing the real stories that give you the tools to overcome challenges and stay true to your real self. As always, I want to give a shout out to our partners over at Fin. Fin is a social good platform that creates employee engagement and builds culture. We've teamed up with Fin to give back to the communities that we serve. For every episode, we will be donating $10 to the cause of choosing by our guest in the Fin platform. Enjoy today's episode. What up, Bear Nation? How are we doing? We are back with another episode of the Bear Necessities of Entrepreneurship. And I can't tell you how excited I am to introduce my guest today, my boy Garrett. Garrett and I go back a little ways. When he tells his story, he's going to talk about a little bit of football back in Italy. If y'all don't remember, I coached a little football back in Italy, so there's a crossover there. But also, Garrett's a millennial entrepreneur, and he is born and raised in LA, California boy. He's been traveling the world for the last 6 years, playing professional American football, and has made stops in Italy, Austria, Germany, and now in Japan. He is traveling the world playing football, but he has also started a really cool lifestyle brand. So I'm excited to get in to what that means. Garrett, say hi to the listeners.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? My name's Garrett Saffron. Me and Rob, we definitely go way back to my first year out there and playing overseas. That's where we connected and kind of, kept our relationship going. So it's super cool to see you doing amazing things. And, I'm really, really hyped up about this show.
Me too, man. I love it. And it's been fun. Garrett's first year playing in Milan. It was his first year abroad playing ball. It was my first year abroad coaching ball. Garrett was QB1, man. He came in, and what I remember about Garrett was, well, first of all, coming to Italy is amazing because they embrace especially the Milano Seamen, embrace the football culture, but it's a small niche community, and you got to come in with an open heart. And you had this Cali boy come in day one, yelling, screaming, "Let's go! What up?" Hyping everybody up, jumping, hugging, like, "Yo, what's good? What's good?" And everyone's just like, "Who is?" That's QB1, right? Yeah. Came in with that big energy and big leadership. So let's kind of start from the beginning, man. How did you get to where you're today? How did you get to playing football? Let's kind of tell your story into where you are today.
All right, so born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Went to Santa Monica High School. Unfortunately, I didn't get many looks coming out of high school, so I had the opportunity to walk on at Sacramento State. During that time, it was a little process of even considering quitting playing football because I didn't get no love. But ended up taking that opportunity to walk on. Earned a scholarship, and then became a little starter out there. Did a lot of great things, had a lot of fun. And then, the dream is obviously to go pro and go to the league. That didn't pan out, but I did get a tryout for the Oakland Raiders. After that didn't work out, I kind of got a little lost. Football was everything I knew. Football was like what I grew up on, my foundation. So once that was taken away from me, I didn't really know what direction to go. And that's kind of where the entrepreneurial mindset kind of, kicked in a little bit. I didn't really necessarily scratch that itch until a little later on because all I wanted to do was play football. And then when Milano Seamen called, I took that opportunity, and that's exactly where we met. So ended up in Italy, played in Germany after that, played in Austria. And then, Europe is more so for the experience. I had a lot of fun out there. Rob, you could tell you we had a great time out there in Italy.
A little too much fun at times.
Yeah, a little bit. But, we enjoyed it for what it was. It was a different experience. We had a good time. That's Europe, the Europe lifestyle. I thought I would play maybe one more year in Europe and then, call it a career. Playing 4 years at a college is very rare. But ended up getting a chance to come over to Japan. It was a perfect transition. Japan is super traditional. They work hard. They're working 70-hour weeks. So it was perfect for me to kind of relocate and get into that lifestyle of, kind of settling down and focusing on something bigger than myself. Like I said, football was all I knew. It was good to kind of, separate myself from football, recreate myself with a different mindset, and focus on a different passion. So that's kind of what I've been on for the last couple of years, and kind of been enjoying that process.
I love that. I mean, you're right. Not everyone's lucky to play ball as long as you have. And, after I played college ball, played D3.
Right.
Didn't get a lot of looks. Small Catholic school in Missouri, and undersized. Built like a refrigerator, no height. But I got a chance to play for 5 years in semi-pro, and do some cool things, and then getting to go coach. And I think that's a really cool experience when you think about what that means to you, and that work ethic of, you didn't get a lot of looks out of high school. You walked on.
Right.
If I don't remember, you set a few passing records at Sac State, from walk-on to doing some big things. I mean, being modest, you got a chance to try out with the Oakland Raiders, right? NFL level skill, at least, to show that out. And you talked about getting lost a little bit, right? You had the entrepreneurial, and the entrepreneurship bug has been sprinkled kind of in your past. So when you said you got the entrepreneurship bug, what was it that kind of kickstarted that at some point building a brand outside of football was something that you were really interested in that start early? Was this something that has been under your hat for years? Like, talk about that a little bit.
I think I always knew that I had something inside me that was different than football. Now that I've been able to kind of, like I said, recreate myself and kind of, go through that process, I found that itch that I wanted to scratch. But it definitely started out with just having like an idea, and then, kind of trying to figure out how to bring that idea to life. When I was going through that low point, I understood that, football maybe doesn't last forever. What exactly am I going to do if that does come to ends? I had to come to grips with that, come to terms with that, and kind of understand what exactly I wanted to do outside of football. And then, when I got to Italy, that's kind of when it like really, really started. I understood that my life was a little different at that time, and I just started creating content and started taking a lot of pictures. I always had my phone out. And then when I got to Germany, that's when I was like, okay, I think I like creating content. I think that's my thing right now. So, I started a YouTube channel, started another Instagram, and just started posting all these pictures and things on there. And then I started to kind of dive in to kind of learn, like, what exactly is business. When you're in college, and going through that process, they forced you to just stick to football. You can't really branch out. It's against the NCAA rules. It's literally like it's football and school, so you don't really get that opportunity to kind of branch out and like learn new things. That's why I was so lost after like football was taken away from me. So after college, when you're able to kind of dive into different ideas and different entrepreneurial skills and things like that, it was super cool to learn. I was just learning, literally going through this journey of just learning and recreating myself, and kind of finding a passion outside of football.
Yeah. I love that. And the fact that entrepreneurship is a journey. Right. There's two sides of it, right? There's an entrepreneurial mindset, meaning I'm curious, I'm going to learn, I'm going to continue to grow. Right? It's really easy for a lot of us to go through, and we're taught this at times, that, hey, you do step 1, you do step 2, you do step 3. If you're lucky, you get to step 4. But if you're in that step 3, that's okay. You grind that ladder, and you maxed out. And being millennials, as you and I are, that was never fucking good enough. Right. And for you, college, playing football, you wanted to play, and then afterwards go to the league. Walk on. You grind, and nothing's ever good enough. There's always this process of learning. So I love hearing that you have taken these experiences and said, you know what, I'm going to continue to grow, evolve my skills, and build. And so you fell into content creation and started taking pictures and creating a YouTube channel and went through that. So tell me about, what What was that like? What was some of the challenges that you faced in starting that early YouTube channel, that early content creation? And
Right.
when you built that content creator mindset, did the brand that you have now, which we'll get into, was that even a thought at the time, or was it I want to be a content creator, and because of that exploration of being a content creator, the brand was built out of that?
Right. I think early stages, I was watching a lot of Gary Vee, and he was just like big on content and still is huge on content.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of giving me the energy and just the confidence to throw that content out there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things that you battle through, like you mentioned, obviously like insecurities, doubt, fear, like what is your family or friends going to think?
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that I battled through also. I had to like recreate my mindset to like who gives a fuck? Like who cares? You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's what I like, and I'm just going to throw out this content because not only um, am I just like happy and in a good place from like where I was months before, I'm able to kind of relive these moments when life when I'm way past it. So I'm able to remember a lot of things, the things that I throw up there, and just kind of just like taking everyone along my journey. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like a real cool concept that I wanted to kind of grasp. And that was not even building a brand wasn't really necessarily a thought. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, like I like content, like might as well like put it somewhere instead of just
Yeah.
having it stored in my phone like for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I mean, it was smart too because you were on this journey, and I talked to a lot of guys about, you know, what it was like coaching in Italy, and what the culture like is like. It was like, wait, you
Right,
coach professional American football in Italy?
right,
Like, there's football in Italy? It's like, yeah, there's football everywhere. Like American football with
right.
pads and armor and stuff. Like, yeah, yes.
Yeah,
And so, like, sharing that journey has always been something fun because people don't realize it. And so, putting
right,
light to that. And there's so many, guys like you and I that played in college that still wish they had that outlet
right,
and wonder what if. And, I can always say I look back and that, hey, whatever I did in semi-pro and coaching abroad, like I got to live out my dream and like hit a couple peaks that I thought that I peaked late in college, and
right.
I wasn't mature enough to like go through that I needed to go through later.
I
And I
agree.
don't wonder what if anymore,
I
and
agree.
I feel like solid about that. So I think sharing that journey and showing that
Right,
was great because also too, like for those that don't know, and after the show, when you go follow Garrett on all his socials, like his content's hilarious. He likes to have fun. He's always smiling. He is a very happy person. So the content was always positive vibes. And, you
right,
know, I think about before I get into the brand, I got to take a trip down memory lane into Milan. All right.
mhm.
And so when I lived in Milan, and, I tell people this all the time. I saw more sunrises in Milan than I think I have in my entire life.
You had a great time out there.
I mean, and that was one of the things that I treasured about it. Sitting at Arco del Apache and having some drinks at
Right,
Cream, and going to different places and just chilling until the sun was coming up. And if you missed the tram home at 2, you had to wait till 5
right.
anyways. And it wasn't Uber, and taxis
What?
weren't reliable. Like if you weren't going home at 2, you weren't going home till 5. So you might as well
Right,
enjoy it. But thinking about football, we had an incredible experience. We
for sure.
didn't win the league that we thought we were going to, but we got to go play in Europe in the Euros Championship in Poland.
Right.
Was there a game, a moment, or a single like time and place that you remember about Milan that was like an epitome of what that experience was, good or bad? And what
Yeah,
was that moment?
I think that that whole experience was just a journey in itself. Just being able to like realize that I was lost. I wasn't in a good place. Like literally months before that. So I kind of went into Italy with like uh, not as positive as I usually am, and then next thing you know, I like tear my knee up and had to
Mm-hmm.
get surgery like literally 2 weeks out there, and I'm like, man, like what am I doing out here? Like what's going on? Like is this where I need to be right now? Kind of like questioning it. And, it's a full on different experience. I've never been to Europe. I didn't even know where Italy was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But just going through that whole process of like being able to play in games, and then, slowly building relationships, and then, kind of enjoying ourselves and going to the cream, and building up those connections. It was literally a life-changing experience. And I was
Yeah.
able to, come out of that way better, with a way better mindset than, what I came in with. So overall, the experience was amazing. And then, obviously we didn't win those championships, but to even get to those points was a blessing in itself. And
Yeah.
you learn from those losses too. It made me want to work a little bit harder going into my next year out there in Germany. So I definitely enjoyed my experience out there. It damn near changed my life. So
Yeah.
I got nothing but love for Italy for sure.
Yeah. I think I already told you this, but I saw you grow up in Italy. Like,
Right.
from the day that you came in to tearing your knee to the kid that left, right?
Right.
And when I mean left, I mean Wrocław,
Right.
right? And, I think that it was a different mindset shift for us all. I think for me, too, I was going to school out there, and then I was coaching and looking at the way the game was played and looking at what it meant to be one of the American players for
Right.
the Italian squad. And there's kind of two moments that I remember that kind of stick out to me of growth, of that mindset, and these things that you're talking about coming from where you were to a better place that have started this whole content creation. Is there was a game in Belgrade, and we were down early, but we knew that we could whoop them boys, and we just came back with a vengeance, And I remember it was like 3rd and long or something, and everything just went to shit, and Garrett just shifted out with his legs, made it happen, and then we're like 4th and goal, and you come over, we called timeout, you come over, and I was like, run, I don't remember what the play was, dragon or something like that. I was like, run this play. And Paulo was like, what? I was like, run this play. And I said, throw the inside out. It's going to be wide open. And we scored, and it was like game changer. And then we get into Poland, and we're, going through that whole game, back and forth. We're down. We make a late push, and you did it again with your legs, and you laid out and you put your whole body out there and took a huge shot to pick up a first down, so that we had a chance at the end of the game. And those are plays that you were always instinctively making, but there was a mindset shift from when we lost the league playoffs into Europe that I think really changed. And I saw it in the way you carried yourself. I saw it in the way you started talking. And that's kind of when you started really creating more content and led to the content creation.
Right.
So I wanted to share that because it was a really cool moment. And it's part of the reason you and I are still connected today. We've just stayed tight and gone back and forth. And there was a time, I think it was Japan, when Infinity Moments started.
Right.
It went from Garrett and his journey playing ball to your journey playing ball and a brand that you wanted to launch. So let's talk about that. What is Infinity Moments? What does it mean to you, and how do you define it?
All right, so to kind of break down the brand name, I got the merch on right now. Infinity Moments, MOM3NTS. I'll start with Moments. MOM represents my mom. The 3 represents me and my 2 older brothers. That's my core foundation. That's my family right there. That's my rock. I'll do anything for them. Moments as a whole is everything that I've been through to kind of create where I am today. Like I mentioned, I was in a down point, traveled all over the world. Those are some things I've been through. Deaths, friends who have passed away, things like that. And then Infinity stems from all the moments that I continue to create. Obviously, I'm out here in Japan still. I kind of sacrifice a lot to be away from my family 10 to 11 months out the year. So it's super cool for me to, kind of give everyone an inside look on the journey, kind of bring everybody along. But essentially, it's based around content. I'm showing you guys the inside scoop of my life. It's based around good vibes, positive energy. It's based about like hard working, staying consistent, inspiration. I just want to, kind of build a community around all those things, and kind of give anybody any motivation to, like, if they ever want to do anything in their life, like they definitely should go after it as soon as possible. Whenever you have an idea, go ahead, attack it, and learn. The internet is such a crazy space. It's literally where I get all my information from, and anybody could start anything. So that's kind of the whole inside scoop around it. And then, like, the starting point kind of get it started, I really started locking in within this last 4 or 5 months of like really pushing the brand. So it's been super fun, kind of just enjoying the process and enjoying the journey, enjoying the moments.
Yeah. I love that. I love that the way the brand name has come up, right? When you think of moments, mom, the family, that foundation. And if I'm not mistaken, you remember your mom runs a restaurant. So like you've seen your mom be an entrepreneur, a restaurant owner, building a business, and you've worked in that your whole life. So I mean, you've had this entrepreneurial mindset and this entrepreneurship inside of you from her, and just kind of from what you've grown into in these challenges. You know, you talked about this becoming a much more focused thing in the last 4 or 5 months. So during the pandemic, you know, you're out in Japan during the pandemic to stay out there because, you know, when the season picks up, you want to be there and not have to deal with traveling. So you've been staying out in Japan, going through this. So what has that been like, you know, building a business, building a brand? Because the brand isn't just merch, right? There's merch and apparel. There's the content side of it and the journey. And then there's the inspiration side of it, that motivation. So it's kind of 3 parts. What were some of the big challenges of saying, okay, this is more than just this content thing of my journey. This is a brand that I want to create. What have been some of the challenges doing that during a pandemic, doing that in Japan, and how have you kind of, you know, gone through this process of building?
I think the cool thing about being an entrepreneur and just being like, you know, learning so much through the game of football and things like that, you're able to adjust and kind of just like go with the flow and kind of figure things out as you're going through this whole journey. So some of the things that, you know, I kind of went through is obviously I was posting a lot of content myself and kind of, you know, giving you guys that inside look. And then, you know, I kind of like decided to kind of step away from the face and just started posting like quotes and anything that like related to the brand. It had to be brand related. And then, so that was like a cool little transition. I'm transitioning through that right now. But the biggest thing that kind of was the process was, you know, kind of getting my business account open. You know, like you said, I'm over here in Japan. There's like a tight window of like 1 or 2 months when I'm back home to go to the bank and, you know, try to fill out paperwork and get approved and things like that. So that was like the longest process to kind of go through. But, you know, it's all about like timing and, you know, everything happens for a reason. You got to have like that mindset, because if you start trying to force it and like some steps are, you know, misplaced. So it's, you know, a big stepping process. You got to continue to kind of just stay consistent with it. And, you know, everything just started falling into place, and it's been super fun. So still enjoying that.
I love that. And really cool to hear. I mean, it is like you have 2 sides of you. So there's Garrett, the ball player, and your journey from that content. And there's Garrett, the entrepreneur, and Infinity Moments. Tell me about, do you have those separated? Is it a singular thing? Is it 2 sides of the same coin? How do you define yourself as the ball player and the business owner?
Right. So I've had this idea of like, I don't want, when my life ends or whatever that time comes, I don't want to be defined as just a football player. Like I feel like I'm way bigger, way more than just an athlete in itself. So, you know, I kind of separated myself from being a football player and a business owner. I really kind of wanted to grasp that idea that you could be both. You could be a business owner, you could be an investor, you could be a football player also. Whatever you want, like you could go ahead and do. And that's like kind of the message that I'm really wanting to get off, is that like if you have anything like that you want to do, you could do it. Regardless of who you think you are, who you may be, just recreate yourself, continue to learn, read a lot, and then just kind of dive in. And if you really have a passion for it, I think it'll work out in the long run. Yeah,
I love that, because, you know, the ball player in you has led to an amazing experience and a lot of content that kickstarted the brand.
Right.
But, you know, being an entrepreneur, thinking about all these things is that there's more to it than being a ball player or a business owner. There are 2 sides of the same coin. There's times when you're a ball player, there's time when you're a business owner, and that you can do anything you want. And the content's out there. The opportunity's out there. It's about going and taking it and learning it. And so being able to see, you know, Garrett as a ball player and the things that you do because of a ball player and being a part of the community and giving back in that regard has allowed some really cool content that set up Infinity Moments. And so it's cool to see then when Garrett's got to put the business hat on, I think more strategic as an entrepreneur. And I love that it's a fluid thing. I think a lot of times we tend to want to define ourselves as one thing or another, or we're this or that. And I understand why, and we're trying to find our tribes, but sometimes you got to be fluid and let life happen. Right. And that's something that I feel really strongly about in the brand. In fact, I've got my hoodie that I love, and there's one of the hoodies that the first one I think that came out was "If not now, then when." Right. It's kind of your key quote. And so talk about that. What inspired you to take that quote? Yeah, there it is. If not now, then when? Right.
You know what's funny? You remember Dario Fumagalli, our photographer?
Yeah.
He's the one who sent me this quote. Like, he posted it on his Facebook and tagged me in it. And I was like, man, that's like the sickest concept I've seen. Like, so he damn well near like going through that process is like, that's like a hoodie I'm gonna make in the future. And then it was kind of like speaking it into existence. Like, now it's like from idea to thought to like going through that journey of creating something to now it being like out there in the world for anybody to have. It's like it's crazy. It's like literally like an insane kind of crazy thing to grasp.
Well, and what's awesome is I know that obviously you got that Infinity M3ments rocking out in Japan. I've been rocking it in New York City. Obviously it's all hot right now for a hoodie, so I'm gonna have to pick me up some t-shirts and whatnot. But I know you got your LA family repping it, and so what's it like having people tag you and show you from around the world? I know you got those boys in Austria and some of those folks in Germany, and I know Steely down there in Italy has got some brand. He was wrecking a whole suit, the sweatsuit. So what is it like to see the Infinity M3ments like merch and see people wearing it and posting? Like, how does that make you feel, seeing this idea and putting on a hoodie coming to life and being like shared around the world? What's that been like for you?
I think it's been kind of surreal. I didn't really know what exactly it would turn into, but for like my closest friends and like people around the world to have the merch on, like every time I get a sale, I pray. I'm just like, wow, like I'm blessed. Like, this has like been such a long journey for people to kind of rock with me is super cool and like super humbling and things like that, because it has been a pretty long journey. And we're talking about like the idea starting in Italy and things like that. That's about 6 years ago, and then going into Germany is when I kind of created my like first little shirt. Or like not my sorry. Germany was like when I created like my first YouTube, and then Austria was like when I created my first shirt. And I brought shirts to Austria and didn't sell a thing. Like, I just had them stored up in my room. I didn't really know how to sell, or like that's a whole learning experience in itself. So then I got into Japan, and I brought hoodies into Japan also, and going through that process of making some. I was like, man, this is kind of tough. Like, I don't know if we can make this happen. I don't know what's going on. But just kind of stay consistent with it. At the end of my year in Japan, that's 2019, end of 2019, that's when I was like, okay, we're going to make this work, because I negotiated my contract to have my merch being sold at the football games. So at that point I was like, all right, there is no going back. Like, we got to make this happen. 2020, that's when like the whole pandemic happened. That's when I did a lot of learning and understood like, okay, I can't continue to make my hoodies in LA and bring them over here all the time. Like, I'm not living in LA, so I need to come up with a way to sell at the same time as being that football player. Like, those two mindsets, I was able to learn how to build a website, learn how to integrate Shopify, integrate Pinterest, Printful into Shopify. That's kind of like my create on demand program, and like things that runs my business, and I create like my merch through Shopify, and then explode content, kind of create momentum, create a buzz around it. So like I said, going into 2021, that's when like I really started taking over, and like now I'm dropping the merch, some product once a week now, and like really built up this momentum and it's kind of habits to continue to create Infinity M3ments.
Yeah, I love that. Start in Austria, don't know how to sell it. You don't know what to do.
Love it.
Bring it to Japan, don't know how to sell it, don't know what to do. After year one, you're like, hey, I'm going to renegotiate my contract. And again, this is where, thinking of you and saying, okay, I've got this brand that I've created through playing ball and global viewership, and I'm playing in Japan, and now I have this merch that I want to sell based on a brand. How do I do the two things? And the idea to sell it at football games and to leverage that is, the quarterback has this, that's such a cool thing, and it kind of speaking that into intention, right? And you talked about, this idea of speaking into intention, the brand and things you want, and I'm big on speaking into intention, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever you believe in, whether it's God, universe, whatever it is, when you put good out and you speak your intentions, it will come back, because you need to create that affirmation, right? You need to put down roots and say, this is going to happen by here. To have those goal markers. Otherwise, it's just a thought, and you're never going to chase it because you're afraid of if you don't hit that. So let's set a few intentions right now. What are the plans with the business? What do you want to do? You got some new merch dropping. We were talking a little bit about some things you want to do on your roadmap on some pop-up shops. So let's put some things in intention. Speak some intentions here. What are you looking to do with the brand?
So right now I launched my website about 3-4 months ago. I'm looking to do at least $5,000 in merch sales by the end of this month. I have it written down right here. So, you got to write it down. I got my journals and things like that too. So definitely got to write those things down and put it out there for the universe. $100,000 in sales by the end of the year is a goal that I really want to hit. I got some really early stages projects right now. You mentioned you got a book coming out. I'm in the early stages of creating that book. I want it to be a book where it's going to be like quotes, basically how that quote relates to my life, and then it's going to be a journal side to write down your own thoughts and things like that.
I love that.
Super early stages. I'm in the talks right now with my creator and how we're going to get that thing going. It's essentially a therapy session while reading a book.
Yeah,
that's like the concept of it. And then I want to continue to drop merch once a week for the rest of the summer, and then come out with a winter drop. And then I want to do a pop-up shop sometime in that winter, when that winter drop happens. I got a few places. I actually got invited to do a pop-up shop in a few weeks, but unfortunately I can't make it. But I'm still networking, still reaching out and trying to take over this Japan market. So I'm out here for a long time. I'm trying to kind of build it around in Japan, kind of have some exclusives out here in Japan, and then obviously through the website, everyone else can kind of go into and make their own take a look into it, and then obviously if they want to support.
I love that. So 5,000 by the end of this month, 100,000 is a goal for the year. You got a book idea, more of a kind of a journal therapy session, quote, kind of your journey and story, and then a chance to journal it. So we got that looking forward to. Hopefully you'll put some times into it. And then I love this idea of pop-up shops, right? The Japan exclusive. So you talk about you're going to be here for a while. So you've been out in Japan for 3 years, and you and I are talking pre-show about Japan just feeling right. There's something about being there that makes sense. How long do you think you're going to be in Japan for? Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are with why Japan's been a good fit, and how long you think you're going to be around for playing with the Challengers. Challengers, right?
Yeah, the Challengers. So after that 2019 season, I signed for 3 years, and that's when my mindset kind of changed. I was like, okay, I can make something happen in 3 years. Let's lock in for the next 3 years, and let's try to do it big. So that's kind of when the super focus kind of came in. So I'm about a year and a half into that contract. I got the rest of this year, and then all of 2022. And then, lengthwise, I think, depending on how the next few years go, I think I got a few more in me. I think I could go on 33, 35. So I'm 29 now, so about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. You got some life left in those legs, and as long as the passion's still there, right? When it's playing ball, I still feel like I could get out and play. I would love to, but there's, I feel also to a point where I've proven to myself what I thought I needed to prove in the game of football, and really switch my focus to what I wanted to prove myself as a business owner
Right.
or a person, and then I grew through different stages to being an entrepreneur. So as long as you still got those passion and that drive, I love it, locking
Right.
in and making stuff happen. So, you know, I have to ask, what's it like being out in Japan, and what's the culture of the football squad like,
Right.
and the community that you're serving as a ball player
Right.
and a business owner in Japan?
I think the cool part about going to Europe first was, kind of getting those experiences.
Hmm.
And then just kind of, putting yourself in different situations and being comfortable, being uncomfortable at the same time.
Hmm.
And then when I got to Japan, it was complete culture shock. It was way different than anything I've ever experienced.
Hmm.
But me, I'm able to adjust and kind of, go with the flow and
Hmm.
figure it out as we ride. But it's been a super blessing. It allowed me to, kind of settle down, kind of relax and, kind of not relax, but kind of, shift my focus from um, what do I want to do outside of football. We do get a lot of free time, which is super cool. It
Hmm.
allows us to have a creative mindset, entrepreneurial mindset. We get 4 days out of the week off,
Hmm.
so that allows us to kind of explore different ideas. We
Hmm.
have teammates out here who kind of have the same mindset. One of my teammates, actually, I give him a lot of credit to my hustling now and learning how to sell because I didn't know how to do that at first. He
Yeah.
actually made like the first couple of sales for me. He was like, "You want a hoodie? Here, you want a hoodie? $50." He was like going up to people for me and like just like a full on hustler. And I'm like, man, like I need to learn how to do that. So,
Hmm.
I give him a lot of credit for that. His name Bryson. He's actually coming out with a just a twist product. It's
Hmm.
a retainer cleaner with bristles. He has pending products. So it's super cool to have those kind of people around you
Yeah.
to kind of be able to bounce ideas off of or like kind of get motivation off of instead of just like being on your own because you do get um, not complacent, but sometimes you don't have the motivation if you're just
Hmm.
like writing solo the whole time. So it's cool to have
Yeah.
like a partner in crime with you. So we've kind of been like trying to level each other up and kind of keep each
Yeah.
other motivated on our free time because
Yeah.
obviously football comes first.
Yeah, I mean, when it's football time, it's lock in, it's all
Right, right,
football, right? But it's cool
right,
that you have that balance, right? Where 4 days off a week, getting a lot of trouble doing that,
right,
right?
right,
So having something to really drive into, and traveling abroad, living abroad, you and I both have experienced it. It's really easy to spend money fast,
right,
and look at that bank account, be like, oh shit, I have no money to do anything. I got to go grind and
right,
make some more cheddar. So being able to kind of balance that out, I love. And I think what's been interesting in your journey is how you've locked in, and having Milan and Germany and Austria, and taking those experiences and growing those communities, right? Being out in LA,
right.
being in Europe, and now Japan, you've lived in some different parts of the world. How have you been able to really activate your community? Obviously, you're content creators, you've got social. So what are some of the
Right,
tools and ways that you're staying connected to, you know back home in LA,
right,
to Europe and Japan? How are you kind of keeping these networks alive, and how are you building this brand and business, and what are the tools you're using to do that?
right. I think that comes with a lot of strategies that I've tried in terms of trying to scale outside of those people, but to have my core foundation and keep those people interested in things like that. I think that just stems from like the relationships I've built along the way.
Hmm.
I've only been real, only been myself throughout the whole process, and I think people kind of are attracted to that and
Hmm.
kind of really are interested and find that super cool. So I've created some amazing relationships, and to be able to connect and stay connected through social media and things like that
Hmm.
is it's such a cool tool to have. You know what I mean? So to reach out to obviously maybe react to one of their stories or talk to
Hmm.
them, see how they're doing and things like that. To have those relationships and the, some of the things that I've built, I think I don't want to just throw that away. So
Yeah.
the content I throw out there allows people, to kind of stay interconnected and things like that too, which is
Hmm.
super cool. So I just enjoyed that also because, like you said, I have made uh, my rounds around the world a little bit. So
Yeah.
kind of keep those alive. It's super solid.
I love that. And when you're intentional and you create authentic, real content, it makes people want to connect and draw to you, right? And they can stay in touch with you that way, and so that communication becomes easier. Right. And I think a lot of times content creators put stuff out because they want views or likes and engagement, and that's not the way. That you can see that from a mile away. This idea of influencers, you don't need more influencers.
Right.
What we want is real content we can connect to, and that's kind of what this Infinity Moments brand is all about.
Exactly.
Real content of your journey, what you're going through, sharing those lessons with people, but also having the element of what's that motivation behind it. Whatever you want to do, how do you get there? If not now, then when, right?
Exactly.
When do you start? How do you just do it? If you're not going to do it now, you never know when you're going to do it, and that's something that I struggled with for a long time. Like, I've been trying to write a book for 2 years, and finally it's like I need to put a fucking date on it. So that I can get to it, I can drive to it. So I love kind of how this whole authentic, intentional content drives relationships, and then being real every step you go. It's been allowed you to keep in touch with a lot of people that you've met from around the world, and has been really cool to see how that turns out. So with the brand, we're moving this all forward. We're looking at Infinity Moments. You've got some new merch dropping out soon. You've got a book that you're working on. Any other ventures or projects that people can expect out of the Infinity Moments brand coming soon? Or
we the cool thing is that like you're able to kind of, like I said, adjust and kind of expand and do what you like to do. If you don't like it, you kind of toss it to the side, figure out new strategies and things like that. So I'm in the process of going through that strategies and things like that. But one of the big things that is, I'm going to just put it out there, we're speaking things into existence. We just had a casting call with Discovery. They're interested in coming out and maybe, kind of showing the inside look on our journey in Japan and things like that. So hopefully that pans out. We had a meeting with them last week, and it'll be cool because, my content is obviously my life, my journey, the experiences, able to travel to like places all over the world, Bali, Croatia, Thailand, literally everywhere. I don't necessarily get a full grasp of that football side because when it comes to football, I'm locked in, like you said. So for them to come in and have like a whole program surrounded around the football side, I think that'll be super cool to get an inside look on. So that's kind of what we're trying to work on. It's trying to get that inside look through what it's like to play out here, the interactions, the coaching, the language barrier, and then obviously on our side where we like to explore trips and things like that. So I think that'd be super cool to kind of grasp that concept.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really cool. I mean, one of the things that I loved about playing with Seamen is that I got to travel a lot to play ball, to coach ball, travel around Italy, got to travel Europe, got to go to Poland, other places, and that was a really big catalyst for getting to see different parts of the world in different ways with different groups of people through football, and it's something that I think is cool. And I would definitely love to see that special and that kind of show, because I think there's so much behind the scenes. So best of luck on that project. And it sounds like what's cool is that some of the key takeaways is that I have from this is that you never know what's going to happen, and life is fluid, and you need to make the most of it. You can say, someday or tomorrow. Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
I agree.
And so, from where your journey started, being in bad place after Oakland tryouts, to, what you learned in Italy growing up, to how you took that to go to Germany and play ball and have success, and then go to Austria and play ball again and take another step in your career journey, and then turn that all into Japan, and where you found stability, you found another side of you, or I guess you found the flame that had been sparked a long time ago that's been stoked and turning it into actionable content. And it comes down to one simple thing: if not now, then when? We all talk about stuff that we wish we could have done or want to do, and if you're not going to do it, stop talking. If you're not going to do what you say, then why are you even saying it? Put attention to it, right? Speak it into existence, and not, one day I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do this in 2021. Right? Hold yourself accountable, and then find those around you to hold you accountable with you.
I completely
love
agree.
that. So I got a few questions that I like to, ask everybody as we wrap up our session. But the first one, little curveball here is, what channels and social do you use, and what do you think the future of social looks like? What are some of the channels that you think are you're trying out that could surprise you?
Right. I think the most natural engagement that you could use right now is TikTok. I think TikTok is super, natural content. You're able to create super short-term videos, and kind of you get a lot of organic reach and things like that. So I've been creating on TikTok the last a few weeks. That's like one of the strategies that I kind of switched up on, because I did obviously go YouTube first. And then YouTube's a tough platform now to be successful at. You really got to go at it every single day. That's a full on entrepreneurial job itself right there. And then obviously Instagram is where I post most of my content. So right now I'm using a lot of TikTok, a lot of Instagram, and then my business Facebook. So which is connected to my business Instagram. So whatever I post on there, it automatically post there. So those are the three main platforms that I'm using right now.
Love that. I just launched my TikTok channel. This week actually got TikToks coming out and talking about, millennial entrepreneurship and Gen Z entrepreneurship. And, one of the things that we did through this research is, what I love about TikTok is that TikTok does have organic reach. TikTok and LinkedIn are meant where you can 300x your reach by creating great organic content. YouTube and Instagram, they box you in.
Right.
So whatever is in your community, you'll see it, but it's really hard to expand reach, and you have to do a lot of outreach. You have to go hashtag searching. You have to, comment and drive traffic back to your page.
Right.
And so that's what I love about TikTok and LinkedIn is two channels, and LinkedIn, my biggest channel, is that you get rewarded for consistency, and they test it out to larger organic reaches. So I love that you got this TikTok rolling. The YouTube is obviously a great place to host everything.
Right.
And then, Instagram, kind of the OG for you with that Instagram, Facebook connection. You and I were talking pre-show about Clubhouse and leveraging that. So how have you engaged in Clubhouse, and what have you learned through that? Did you like it? I mean, Spotify just launched Green Room, which is a competitor. Right. So what are your thoughts on the Clubhouse platform?
I think Clubhouse is super cool. I think it allows you to kind of, open up and be able to talk in front of people you don't know at all. So it allows you to kind of open up and, communicate and talk about your brand or whatever journey you're going on to a large group. I've made some solid connections on Clubhouse. If you're real and, you keep it 100% in there, they kind of award you, and you build those connections out there, and there's people out there who are willing to help. Actually, the dude from Discovery is a person from Clubhouse. The dude writing my book is a person from Clubhouse, a person who wants to help with my brand and kind of wants to partner with me. I'm not really there. I want to do all my strategies first before I bring someone in, but they're from Clubhouse. I think Clubhouse is super effective if you have a vision and things like that, and you kind of speak it out there for anybody who's attracted to it. They're able to kind of network that way.
Yeah. What I love about Clubhouse is two sides to that. One, you can be just a listener. You can go in, and it's a great place to learn and be a part of great conversations, both small and big. So that's what I love about that side of it. But from a business side, to make the use of Clubhouse, you have to be active. You have to be going in with intention, speaking when you have the opportunity, because some rooms don't always give you that long of an opportunity. And also, if you're that person on Clubhouse that starts talking for too long, you lose everybody. So you got to speak with really clear intention. And so that's what what sounds like you've seen success in that. So I like Clubhouse, and I challenge a lot of folks to get on Clubhouse and look at the power of it and these different things like Green Room to engage in larger communities.
Right.
And come in with a different perspective and think about intentionality and brevity and be able to speak about what you're doing with intentionality and conciseness, because that's where the magic happens in platforms like Clubhouse. So I love that. And I think social is going to change. Social is going to continue to grow and change and evolve. And, those that you don't need to be everywhere. You need to be where your buyers are, right? And be thinking about where they are and how can you best leverage those platforms. So,
Right.
we'll make sure to tag all those, your TikTok, your Instagram, your YouTube, Clubhouse. We'll get all that in the show notes here at the end. So, you've been on this entrepreneurial journey, and it's been a long time coming for you. You've seen a lot of things. You've experienced a lot to get where you are today. For those out there listening, Gen Z, millennials, or anybody who's entrepreneurial minded, what advice would you give them right now?
I think the biggest thing that I have learned throughout the process is to start whenever that idea comes to life. I think that's the biggest thing that's came from my journey is that like I had this thought itching damn well near since college, high school-ish time. I didn't really know what it was, but I didn't really even know how to dive in and do research on it. And especially when I got to college, it was literally just football, and that's everything I knew. I think to do your own research, to understand how business works, to read, to kind of, explore that itch, whatever that is. I think the sooner you start building momentum, start building, that courage, and, you get over that fear hump, you get over the insecurity hump. I think the sooner you start, you'll see a lot more growth than you think you'll see.
I mean, I love that. If not now, then when? Start now. And I think the other thing you make a great point is, the quicker you can break through that fear and insecurities, right? We always think that in order to start a business, do those things, we need to be perfect.
Right.
We need to have everything laid out. You don't. Get it out there. Start. Because you're going to fail.
Right.
Like, business is fucking hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard. And whatever that is, life is hard.
Right.
You fail at life all the time. We make wrong decisions all the time. We learn from them. That's how we grow. And so is to start now. Learn. Know that you're going to fail at things. Know that you're going to you didn't know how to sell. You were afraid to sell. And now, you have confidence in doing it. You have people around you who have helped you learn you. And you don't have an excuse not to consume content and learn. I mean, there's so much content out there. We just talked about 5 different channels. You can learn and consume content and upskill every day. And you need to invest in yourself. So I love that. What would you say your superpower is and why?
I think that I had a little trouble of coming up with a superpower, but right now, I'll just go into my everyday life right now. My team in Japan, they're a little negative at times, and I started taking notice of that. So if I had a superpower, I would want to take all negative thoughts out of your head and switch them into positive thoughts for everybody to try to better the world that way. So that's what I'm doing right now in my Japan team. We huddle up every day, and I try to tell these dudes, like, yo, like, your positive thoughts are way stronger than any negative thought you could ever have. Like, you literally should not think any negative thoughts about yourself or about the situation. Like, don't ever think that we're going to lose or have any doubt. Like, we're going to be just fine. Like, promise you that. So I think to kind of switch that mindset, which obviously I had to go through my own journey of doing that as well. So to be able to coach these guys up and, teach these dudes that, I think is super powerful and beneficial, not just in football, but in life also.
Life. I love it. I mean, positive thoughts equal positive things.
Right.
There's 2 things that we have control over every day. Attitude, effort.
Right.
Have a good attitude, give great effort, good things are going to happen. So why let negative energy take up your headspace? I love that, right? Your superpower, good energy, positive energy, positive vibes only. And that's something that I think is so crucial. I mean, somebody needs to, and you can only, and I don't think you can truly be like positive vibes only, good energy type until you've experienced the negative and you've gone through that journey yourself. And that's what I love about you being able to do that. And who better to coach that in others than you, somebody who spent the last 6 years going through that journey and making some of those mistakes and growing and seeing growth happen to being able to say, you know what, that's it. I love that. I love that energy. And that's also part of the brand, right? I know a lot of the content's around that positive vibes and spreading positivity and saying, hey, you know what, you are enough. You're better than what you think you are. Don't give into negative headspace. Positive thoughts equals positive things.
Of course.
So what is one book, resource, show, or piece of content that you think that you would recommend right now for young entrepreneurs out there?
Right now, I'm actually reading a super solid book. Atomic Habits.
Mm-hmm.
Changing your habits, changing like your daily routine, kind of figuring out yourself and what works for you, being consistent, staying on top of your task and things like that. I'm about 100 pages in right now, but it's kind of changed my mindset. I already have a list on some of the things that I want to change, my morning routine and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is, I don't think people know how powerful staying consistent and getting a little bit better each day is. I think everybody wants that success right now and like that instant gratification, and that's not how like the entrepreneurship is going to work out. Like you really got to continue to stay consistent. There's going to be hard days, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. As long as you stay even keeled throughout that whole journey, I think it's super powerful and beneficial to stay consistent on whatever it is that you're trying to attack.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, when I met Garrett was your super Cali, go with the flow on everything. So
Right.
to see you starting to build habits, and you know, I know that you want to be go with the flow, and we talk about fluidity, and you don't want to be overly regimented, but you can't be under regimented. You need to find some habits, some of those things in your routine that keep you accountable every day. I think that's the real difference maker. That's what I loved about Atomic Habits, is finding those things daily that you can set, you know, kind of your clock by, that it's like they hold you accountable, right? Whether that's 2 habits or 100 habits, depending on your personality type. Finding those things that hold you accountable. So it's a great book. I can't wait to finish it and put some of those things in place, because it's a great one. So as we hit here at the end, and we think about a lasting message, what is your lasting message to the listeners, and what do you want them to take away from this?
Man, life is meant to be lived, so live it now. You know, the brand I didn't really get to mention, it's all about living in the present moment. The mission statement is living in the moment, learning from the past to better our future. It's going to be a long journey. It's going to be an amazing journey, man. So enjoy the present moment, enjoy the now. You're right where you need to be, and you know, continue to stay consistent in creating those good habits, and you'll be all right.
I love that. I think that's a great message, right? Live in the moment and build, right? And understand that it's not going to happen overnight, right? You know, we live in a very hyper-connected, instant gratification world, but to truly be successful, when you think about entrepreneurship and you think about just growth personally, professionally, spiritually, emotional, whatever, all of it, it's small things every day. It's consistent learning every day. It's being in the moment. It's learning from the moment, and it's enjoying that moment. So again, Infinity Moments. Life is full of moments. Make each one count. The good, the bad, all of it. Learn from it. Garrett, my man, I appreciate you coming on the pod. How can the listeners find you? What are the socials? What are the hashtags, the ads? Let me know what they are. I'll put them in the show notes as well. Where can we find you?
Gotcha. Yeah. My main Instagram is at InfinityG8. So from there, you go into my bio, and then you can click on to my business Instagram at Infinity Moments. From there, you can go from the website, kind of check out the website, scroll all the way down. You find my YouTube channel right there, linked at below. You kind of just take your way across, you know, all the platforms, and kind of, you know, dive in a little bit and see what the brand's all about. Check out the content and things like that. You won't be disappointed. I promise. It's all solid.
I love it. And what's cool is that Garrett doesn't just put the same content across all the platforms. It's all differentiated. Go check out the merch. Get some of your merch. Cop it. Get that Infinity Moments. You know, Garrett has a goal and has a plan of what he wants to hit by the end of the year. So let's help him do that. Bear Nation, let's rise up and put some of that in, good energy into the Infinity Moments brand, so we can see some of those drops and some of those exclusives. I know you got some Japan exclusives, but hopefully some of those can make their way back to New York City at some point.
Make it happen.
You bet. I'll be sending out some Rise Up merch, so that you can have some Rise Up merch, so we can be in Japan now. So I'm excited to send you out some Rise Up merch. Garrett, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I appreciate you just sharing your journey, your thoughts, your message, your wisdom. And I'm excited to see what happens with Infinity Moments. I'm excited to see you continue to grow in entrepreneurship. And you know that you have a big fan in me, both personally and professionally. So however I can help, you know, always let me know. Thank you to Bear Nation for tuning in. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe. Go check out Garrett. Go check out that content. Go cop some merch and support a fellow entrepreneur who's, you know, living his dream. And also check out his journey and what he's doing over in Japan and ball. I know the season starts a couple months, right? Next month?
Pretty soon, in August.
So pay attention. And what's the team name so people can follow the team?
Team name, Asahi Soft Drink Challengers.
All right. So go follow them. I'll make sure, Garrett, send me that link to the team so we'll get some followers to the team, because I know that you got some live streams of the games and whatnot, so you can check out the season coming up in August. Garrett, thank you again, my friend.
Robbie,
really appreciate having you on.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a true blessing. I appreciate you always.
Absolutely. Bear Nation, once again, thank you for listening to the Bare Necessities of Entrepreneurship. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. And until next time, take care.